Hello, YouTube! So today I'm sharing several gross stories, like the most recent story. For those of you that don't subscribe to me, I like to share weird stories. And so I shared an embarrassing story about how I crapped my pants in second grade when I was really sick at school while wearing spandex. So if you've never watched my videos, you should probably subscribe and check it out. Anyways, I wanted to share my I.U.D story in referring to the intrauterine device. I did the worst possible thing. Prior to getting it inserted, I read the most horrible online stories everywhere about how people's uteruses exploded or something, just terrible experiences and how it was so painful, and it was the worst thing I could have done. Apparently 1 in 50 women have a really bad reaction to an I.U.D, and with my luck, that's what happened to me. Woo! Although I'm doing so much better. It's day 3. It's Thursday, and I had it put in on, what was it, Monday? Tuesday. I had to put it in on Tuesday in the afternoon. There's some reasons why I had a bad experience. First of all, it was a male doctor. Not to hate on guys, but this guy was an asshole. And he showed up 20 or 30 minutes late. Didn't refer to the nurses by their names. So he'd be like, nurses, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wow, you're way too into yourself. So I had to wait there for 20 to 30 minutes, nervous and freaking out because I'm just so scared of the I.U.D and stuff like that, waiting for it. Now, why I'm going with the I.U.D is because I had to get off hormonal birth control pills because it was affecting my thyroid. And it was causing all sorts of other stuff too, including vitiligo, all sorts of other stuff that I had, which is a skin thing. Anyway, so I was going to go with the copper one. However, I found out after getting my hormones tested that I am greatly lacking progesterone. So Mirena is nice in that it offers that hormone. So hopefully it'll balance out my stuff because I was at postmenopausal levels when I got my blood drawn. And so I just wanted to get off a lot of the hormones. So hopefully this will be a better option. We'll see. It works for 5 years and it's a little flexible piece. It's about this tall and a little bit that wide. So it's not that bad. It's got little arms. So it's kind of in the shape of a T. Anyways, I get there. Douchebag guy doctor, way too into himself, cocky, arrogant, and it's taking forever to get there. So finally, 20, 30 minutes after waiting to get in there, I had taken Vicodin earlier in that day, and he's like, well, hopefully this won't be too painful. I was like, yeah, well, I took some Vicodin earlier, I should be fine. He's like, why did you take Vicodin? Why are you taking Vicodin? You're going to get addicted to that, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I studied abnormal psychology. I counsel people with substances and addiction issues. I was like, I've also taken classes and courses specifically on narcotics. So I was like, I appreciate your concern, but it's not relevant, okay? I used to be prescribed Vicodin and codeine for my cramps, and I wouldn't even take it because it didn't even faze me, let alone I didn't even want to be addicted to these things. So he spends a good 3 minutes lecturing me about Vicodin. And whatever crotch doctor, do your job. Let's just get this over with, And I'm starting to get really irritated with him. Anyways, other people were like, don't worry, I.U.D's not going to hurt, not a big deal or whatever. Now, mind you, why I had a really bad experience is I have a super sensitive cervix. Sorry, guys that are watching this. You probably should have turned off this video a while ago if you don't want to hear about it. Anyway, super sensitive cervix. I can feel every single thing with a pap smear, them swabbing, everything. I just feel it. It's crazy. Not the best gift to have in the world. So super sensitive, and I've never had a child before. And so some people are like, ooh, I wouldn't get an I.U.D unless you've had a kid before, because then things are stretched out a little bit. Things are easier to work with. So anyways, and you're supposed to go in on the 4th day of your period. I think I also had a bad time because my period had stopped the day before, even though it was day 4 or 5, and I'd only been off the pill for a month, so things are still kind of goofy and working themselves out in the system. Anyways, so I get there and he's trying to calm me down, and the nurse is great. Love the nurse. The nurse is a super nice lady, and so I'm laying there and he's like, okay, scoot on down, and it's always that awkwardness where they're like, closer, 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 and you feel like you're junk is about to touch his nose. So anyways, so I'm on the table, and he's showing me all the devices, and I'm like, why is he? No, I feel like I'm in Saw number 7, or I don't even know how many Saw videos there are now, but it was terrible, and so I just feel like I'm in a part of some horror movie Hostel or Saw. It was just terrible. So I'm like, you shouldn't show people that. He's like, normally I don't show people these, but I'm like, then why the fuck are you doing that? I don't know. I think he just didn't like me. So, so he's showing me all this stuff, and it's a Machiavellian-looking, terrible long thing, whatever, who cares? Just don't look. So I'm laying there, and they're like, okay, slight pinch, and 3, 2, 1, or whatever, and I feel something, I think this is when they did the sound and clamping. That didn't hurt that bad. I start to cramp. What hurt was the stabbing, almost hot searing feeling of when they like stuck the top of my uterus. They like hit it and then pull back. I came off the table and I'm like, oh fuck, and like I didn't scream. And apparently later on the nurse was like, you handled it really well. Most people scream. And I was like, okay, thanks for telling me that in advance. You know, the people don't enjoy this. Anyways, and it was only a super sharp stabbing pain for like maybe 2 seconds. Then it's cramp, cramp, cramp. You know, just heavy cramping or whatever. But that stabbing pain, that hurt. So that was the sounding. Then you're cramping, you're still waiting, I'm starting to get dizzy, I'm starting to sweat, you know, whatever. Then the second part comes where they actually put the I.U.D in. And granted, it's folded up into like a little thing. And then once it's open, T-shape, it like pops open. So they go in there and the second time, sharp stabbing pain. Oh my God. It's almost unbearable. And I'm like lifting out the table like exorcist style. And I just start getting so dizzy. Boom, procedure's done. It's over with. They pull the stuff out. They're like, okay, take a minute to breathe. And my lips like go white. And I'm like, I don't feel good. And I'm just like writhing in pain, you know, like withering, like, writhing in pain, I should say. And doctor's looking at me and he's like, I think you're having the vasovagal response or vagal. It's V-A-S-O-V-A-G-A-L. And it's like a nervous response from either shock, trauma, or like fright or whatever, but it's like how your body reacts in these situations. And I'd had that before when I had my tonsillectomy. I threw up after I got an operation, so my body freaks out when anything's bad with it. I can handle the pain, but my body just freaks out over it. It's like, oh, we're dying, let's throw up. So I'm feeling really nervous. He starts to feel my pulse, and he's like, ooh, okay. He's like, your heart's really, really slow. He's like, let me just have you lay here for a couple minutes, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he said that this response can sometimes last from anywhere from like half an hour to like hours long. And whenever I go into shock, I'm like a wounded animal. Like, I just want to be left the hell alone and like go into a corner somewhere and die. And so I'm like, oh my God, we need to get out of here. And I'm like, get my mom, because my mom was nice enough to drive me. You should always have someone drive you home afterwards in case you're feeling dizzy or cramping, and just for some moral support, you know. So she comes in. And she sees me and she's like, oh, like, don't look good type thing. And she's like, no, just lay there for a while. I am in there until past like 5 o'clock. My appointment was at 2:50. And I was in there for so long. I get so dizzy and nauseous or whatever, I just throw up. I'm like, I made it in the bucket. That was awesome. I'm like, Mom, get the bucket. I'm feeling sick, you know. And so I threw up in the bucket. And I just could not. I almost did it again. I was just really sick, and I'm sweaty, and I'm hot. I can't get comfortable. I'm cramping really badly. I want to escape and get the hell out of there because this doctor's a dick. And then he's giving my mom shit and talking really fast. Well, this vasovagal response, you know, blah, 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 blah. My mom's like, slow the fuck down. Like, what is going on? You need to explain this, you know, like, calmly. And so anyway, so the doctor explained what was going on and that, you know, it's really rare and it only happens to some women. And that he only sees it a few times a year. So, of course, with my luck, that's what happened. Anyways, so after waiting there for several hours, it seemed like, we finally got in the car, and I'm, like, just cramping the whole way. And while I was in the doctor's office before I left, I started bleeding. So I had that nervous response, bad pain, I get dizzy and nauseous, I throw up, I start bleeding, and I go into shock. And I'm, like, shaking and all this other crazy stuff, and my mind's not thinking right and all that other stuff. So we're in the car and I'm still in shock. I was in shock for like hours later still for some reason because my body's like, what is happening? And freaking out. Day 2 comes around. Now I had taken naproxen or some like a leave or something like that before bed and had the heating pad on. That felt really good. Just to lay down, and I was so tired from being in shock too because your system's in like overdrive. So I just wanted to lay down and go to sleep. Day 2 is just some cramping and random bleeding. Day 3 is today, and I feel really good. Some positions, I'm like hesitant to get into some positions, and I want to wear loose-fitting pants, you know, just in case. But you don't really feel like it's not in there, so that's a good thing. But anyway, so if you have a sensitive cervix, I wouldn't get it. If you don't, then you're fine, I'm sure, you know, but just if you've had that vasovagal response or whatever it's called before in which you pass out and faint or throw up or anything like that or go into shock, let your doctor know so they can prepare for that. Take some painkillers, maybe have a glass of wine before, have your doctor whisper sweet nothings to you, and hopefully it'll be actually a female doctor because they seem to understand more. Anyways, that was my experience. Not to scare everybody. I think it's definitely worth it in the long run. Like today's day 3. Yeah, there was a day that kind of felt like hell. And the worst pain was just only for like a total of 4 seconds, you know, those 2 segments, you know, 2 seconds each. And I think it's probably really worth it in the long run. And so we'll see. So I will give you guys updates later on if anything else changes. But I hope you guys are doing great. And I will talk to you soon, YouTube. Bye-bye.